Hello, Leo, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of July 27th through August 2nd. And during that time, we'll have a waxing crescent moon. And a waxing crescent is a really good time for heightened awareness. Took me a minute, sorry. It's morning here. I'm just on my second cup of coffee. Heightened awareness, a good time to buckle down and get to work on the things that you've just started on the new moon. We then move into the first quarter moon, which is on the 2nd of August. And that can be a time where you feel a little bit impatient. uh your mind might just be really busy. It's hard to buckle down. I think it does arrive on a weekend, so hopefully you don't have to work too hard on that day, because that can be a little bit of a distraction. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading, Leo, so of course please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. All right, your overall message for this reading, Leo: prosperity lies ahead. I love this. I don't think I've ever pulled that card ever on a reading like this, on a reading that I've done for YouTube. So it's crazy. You have these decks of cards, and sometimes you just rarely see certain cards. Certain ones come out. Sometimes they come out over and over again and again, but I've never seen this. So I love it. For you, Leo, prosperity lies ahead. Let's see what's going on with the Leo collective. As I'm shuffling, I would like to say that my weekly reminder this week is that you take some time to meditate. Go within, still your mind and your body, and just explore a little bit. If you already do this, you know what I'm talking about. If meditation isn't something that you practice, maybe it's just a good time to start. And even if it's, just a little bit of time each day, just a few minutes, and then increasing that time. I know I'm a very hyper person, so the idea of meditating for any length of time used to be like, oh, seriously, I can't sit still that long. But there's lots of tools. There's different, there's guided meditations on YouTube, which are awesome. For me, music is a good one, but I also like a voice guided meditation, someone who's just there telling me and getting me to that space. So anyway, I will stop babbling. It's just my weekly reminder is that it's a good thing to do if it's not something you already practice. So, okay, Leo, July 27th through August 2nd, prosperity lies ahead. Overall, present energy is look at you hard at work on something. And no wonder prosperity lies ahead, because it looks like you've been working at something. You're very focused. I see this card as not only work, it's the work of the pentacles that we do, but this person here is so focused on what they're doing and doing a good job at it that they're not even, you could probably say their name and it would take a few times to say it before you can even get them distraction. That time, or, get their attention. It's that it's the kind of work that you are so focused on that just the rest of the world melts away for you. Some people call it being in the zone, being in the moment, which is such a great way to be on anything that you're doing. I love, the things that I can find on the planet, getting into those kind of modes. For me, it's music. Playing music with my husband or my family. We're all musicians here, and those kind of, that just the rest of the world melts away when you're that focused on something. Also, for me, it can also be art. If I'm painting something or being creative with something, or sewing or making something, anything I'm doing that involves that kind of work of creation, just really gets me in the moment. And if you can find that thing, it's just such a gift, I believe, to be able to do that. All right, your current situation is the Judgment card. So it looks like you're kind of making a judgment here that's going to lead to your prosperity, something to do with something that you are working on. That judgment is about a new awareness. It's about accountability. It's taking things into consideration to get yourself to the truth. This is kind of an awakening. Sometimes this is something surfacing, something that comes, some sort of enlightenment that comes to you, that that kind of leads you to a truth and to a new awareness. This could be, something that you're evaluating. You're kind of seeing the big picture on something, but some sort of judgment when it comes to something that you work really hard on, and maybe you just make a decision to change course for some reason. Some information comes to light that makes you think, okay, here's how we're going to do this. At the root of your situation is the Five of Cups. So that maybe this new awareness is brought on by some sort of disappointment, or something disappointing in the emotional realm for you, that you're just like, I'm not going through this again. Maybe it's something that's kind of, repeating itself over and over and over, to where you do have to kind of make a judgment, make a decision on how you're going to handle it, because you've just been presented with that situation too much. And that's how we learn and change and grow, is by making those assessments, with the judgment of something, learning things, and then deciding to move in a different direction. So that's makes perfect sense to me. In your recent past, Leo, is the Ace of Pentacles. So this could be that, recent past is that someone has maybe offered you some money, offered you a job or a promotion at a job, or, some new way for you to, make money to improve your material world. So that's a good way to be coming in here. And it could have changed your judgment, right? It could have, it just made you think about things a little bit differently. It changes your mindset a little bit. And what is on your mind this week is the moon, which I think this is the second time I've seen this card in this position already in these readings. So, I started doing, a couple weeks ago. I did a little thing called the Star of the Week, where a card that kept appearing, and I'll continue to do that. If I see that there's one card that almost comes up in every reading, I'll choose that card, and we'll just do a little deeper dive into that card. But the Moon card is about mystery. It's about trusting your intuition. It's about kind of being guided by the universe. Sometimes there's signs, and just you're just seeing signs that are pointing you in a particular direction. Those synchronicities. So this could be about a dream that you had. This could be about, just it's just really listening to your inner voice, and doing things on instinct because they're there. So that's on your mind. Is there something that, maybe there's an intuitive path that seems, it's intuitive, but it's very clear to you, and you're not even really sure why. But maybe don't question that. Just kind of maybe go with the flow. If it's not something you normally do, maybe it's time to start trusting that a little bit. What is just ahead of you is the King of Cups. So it looks like you're very balanced, and also knowledgeable in your, not only your own emotions, but your kingdom, the people around you. You understand the emotional play in the entire situation. Why someone's emotions get elevated, maybe yours even, but you're, and learning to manage that. The king card is about knowledge. So it's about, learning to, why did this person get upset and this person didn't? What is the difference there, in a certain situation? And as you mature emotionally, those things start to become more and more aware, if it's something you focus on. I mean, some people, it takes a lifetime to get to that king position, but you're definitely sitting in that energy where you're understanding your own emotions, but also those of the people around you as well. All right, what is in your advice position here is the Sun card. So let's just enjoy your own happiness. We've got, you've got the intuition guiding you, but you've got light lighting everything around you. And I see this light too as lighting up those synchronistic things that are, you know, um, it's hard to explain unless you get there and you're really seeing it, right? It's almost like it's a different language that's going on. It's a visual language, to me there are things that, numbers that start coming out, or just messages, things that you're noticing and seeing when you're really in tune with your intuition. But it's kind of like lit by the sun. It's the light kind of guiding you. It's very, very interesting. So, and this is why I encourage you to meditate, because meditation can just bring you to a place where you're able to notice those things, around you. What is beyond your control this week is the Strength card. So your inner strength is really playing a part here. As you're moving through and maybe making decisions, and listening to the universe, and you're just being very strong inside. So that's very awesome. What is your secret desire? What you're trying to avoid is a little bit of conflict here with the Five of Swords. Now we've got two fives on the table, which, this is kind of emotional conflict, and this is kind of verbal conflict. And maybe you're, again, I would imagine you're trying to avoid that. I doubt that that's anyone's desire, but there might be things that need to be said to people around in this, thing that you're working on. This could be a work related thing, a passion project that you're involved, with, something that you're doing with other people. But it looks like, is it your secret desire to say what needs to be said? and be very direct. You know, you're a Leo. Leos usually have no problem being that. Or are you trying to avoid that? You know, you might be trying to avoid that because of the emotional part. And if you're understanding everyone's emotions, it just might be choose your words very, very wisely. In your outcome position is the Ace of Swords. So now we've got two aces. We've got this Ace of Pentacles and now the Ace of Swords, which is kind of, an aha moment. It gives you an idea. I'm going to do this thing. And, the Ace of Swords is, it's kind of a mental breakthrough. So it's you're learning from your observations and the things that are going on around you. So you can't ask for anything better than that. What is hidden from you this week is really thinking about the future with the Two of Wands here. So you're very concerned with now and like the very next step. You're maybe not too concerned with things far off into the future. Should you be? And is that something that, maybe because it's hidden from you, this is telling you to, maybe take that time to think a little bit further out than your next step. What is going to happen if you take this next step or make a move on something? Are you able to kind of envision, what's going to happen 5, 6, 7, 8 months down the road, maybe a year down the road. So do keep that in mind as you are looking around at things and making moves based on some new awareness here, on some judgment that you're having. All right, let's get a final, get the bottom of that. There we go. Let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final words from the Soul Oracle deck for Leo, July 27th through August 2nd. As they have these breakthroughs and things coming in and kind of making some life changes, which look, we got a few major arcana here on the table. Anytime that I see three or more, which you've got four here, anytime I see three or more, I think some weeks just kind of flow along and there's nothing major happening. This is a little more, I mean, it's not super, super extreme, but you're making some decisions that do affect your day-to-day life. So I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's that kind of week that you're at least observing those. Maybe you're not making those decisions quite yet, but you're definitely taking everything into account. All right, final message here for Leo. Correct your mistakes. Well, that's not hard to do if you're a Leo. First, find and admit your mistakes. That's the hard part for a Leo, but go ahead and correct those. There might be things that you've done, right? Leos are pretty confident, and we're pretty confident that we're right. I happen to be in the Leo realm myself, and you have to watch that. You have to watch about yourself and make sure that you are questioning, all of the things around you and making sure that, it's, what's the thing that Dr. Phil always says, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And sometimes as a Leo, you have to make that call and go, yeah, okay, maybe I am right, but let's let the other person be right as well. Sometimes two things can be correct and right. That makes sense. All right, let's talk about Leo and self-care. What does Leo need to do this week in the realm of self-care? All right, the card that pops up here is the card that says decision. Oh, didn't mean to bump my camera there. Decision. Sometimes the best decision is no decision at all. So yeah, even your cards coming out, it doesn't even really put you in decision making mode. Like I said, it's like you're taking things in, on this judgment. You're looking all around you and you're kind of mulling things over. But you do have some new things coming at you, with this Ace of Pentacles and this Ace of Swords. So new ideas, new, kind of a new confidence, maybe financially, with your material world or things, so but these, this, the Sun card, the Strength card, this is all about, trying to balance things so that these little disruptions and, fives are, what's the word I'm looking for? In numerology, they can be about conflict, right? So, all the fives in the tarot are kind of like that. They're kind of just about conflict, things happening, sometimes inner, but sometimes with other people as well. Okay, I'm babbling about that, but yeah, sometimes the best decision is not to make a decision, is just to do that observation, to let that awareness change and kind of get rooted before you start making decisions on it. So Leo, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time with me today. I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use. If you like my reading style, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel, but most importantly, it'll help you find me next week. So thanks so much, Leo. Good luck with this, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.